Well, we're on Tim's Ford Lake this morning. It's just the sun, I don't think is quite up yet, but it's a really nice morning. We've got, right now we're running 4 rods. The reason I'm doing that is because there's some coves I want to be able to get up in there a little tight, and I can't get in there with the full spread, so we're running 2 downrigger rods and 2 rods out the side with Tadpole. So that gets 4 lures at the right depth, and then we'll see what happens. As things wear on through the morning, we'll probably set the full spread out. But at this time, I really want to try to be able to stay a little closer to the bank as I go into some of these pockets and see if there's, I'm looking for a school of fish back in one of these coves. So I'll let you know how it comes out. Saw another boat over there trolling. I saw him, looked like a guy standing up. I hope he's reeling one in because I'll go over there as I troll. The thing you do when you watch is with stripers, you catch them one day and you get in there the next day and they move. So you're always thinking about where am I going to go when they're not here? Because it's going to happen to you. So almost every trip I come out, I search new territory. Maybe they're back in a cove. Maybe they're down off a bank. Maybe they're out there in the channel in the middle over the channel for some reason. They won't be deep, but they may be over it. So you kind of look at that. I'm always, when I'm out here by myself, I'm always looking for, where are they going to be next? Where are they now? Just in case they move. I call those scouting days. There's a fish. Okay, fish on. There you go. Now that's what it's all about right there. Now see, there's one on. Now the boat's moving and my rod's secure. Alright, so now we know we know that's a school of fish. Let me show you what that looks like in case I'm gonna reel it. Don't worry, I'm gonna reel it in. With me, I really don't care if I catch it or not. To tell you the truth. Okay, that's what they look like on sonar, and that's what they look. Let me get a different angle here. That's what they look like on downscan. Okay, I guess I better reel it in. Now, this pole has a Tadpole that controls the depth. What I try to do is get up here on this deck, turn this off, and get up higher so that hopefully I don't get tangled and everything down here, but don't count it. Nice little striper. And we're going to get this fish back in the water because stripers are not quite as hardy as hybrids. That's pretty good. When you're striper fishing, especially this time of year, we're not pulling them from real deep, so we don't have that temperature pressure differential problem. But sometimes, you want to get them back in the water. And legally in Tennessee, the limit is 2. You can throw them back as long as they're alive. If you have a dead fish like a floater, that goes in your creel, and I always tell people, assume the game ward's watching you right there, because one of the things we don't want to do is waste the resource. But that's why if it's a striper, get the thing back in the water as soon as you can. I think hybrids are a little hardier than the stripers are. Oh wow. That is a dandy fish. That's a really nice hybrid for Tim's Ford Lake. Let's see if we can get him out of here. Get him back to the lake. That's probably a 10-pound fish. That's a really nice hybrid here. And let's get him back in the water. Okay, what I want to do is I want to take a second here and kind of explain to you the setup that I'm using. Sometimes you watch some of these videos. I'm using, okay, first off, what are we trying to accomplish? We're trying to get a bait at a certain depth. All right. People that tell you, oh, they're not biting, the sun's running, they're not pulling a fish in front of them. You pull a bait in front of these things and they hit it. So the challenge is, how do you get the bait into that depth? Now, if you notice, I'm running downriggers also, and the reason I use downriggers is if I happen to go over something really deep, I can get to them real easy. I'm running these lures about the same depth as the outside ones. Now, here's how I'm achieving that depth. All right, first off, this is a device called a Tadpole, and you get them from Offshore Tackle. They come in 4 different sizes, like this is a number 2. And so you basically have your bait, which in our case is a jig. That was the chartreuse sassy shad, which is really my go-to bait. A fluorocarbon leader, this is 30 pounds, about the length of the rod, and one of these. Now, when you set it out, you make sure that it's just like this, and it goes through the water and it dives to a certain depth. When the fish gets on, it pulls like this, and that's like having a 1 ounce sinker on your line. So it's a really neat way to do it. But here's something else about it. There's an app called Precision Trolling. I have it on my iPhone, and I can actually go into that app and say, okay, I'm moving the boat at 2.5 miles an hour. I want the lure to be 18 feet deep. How much line do I let out? That's the magic about this. That's what I call dialing for stripers. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop it. Let's see, let me fix this jig. Also, when you're using these sassy shad, be sure, test these things before you sit in it. Make sure that it's running straight. It's not laying up on its side. It won't hit it. A lot of people make that mistake. They put that sassy shad on there and then they think, oh yeah, that's fine. Well, if you watch how it's running at 2.5 miles an hour, it's up on its side. I don't think they're fishing. I think they're smarter than that. Okay. That's pretty close right there. Make sure it's good and straight. Now this is a really, really good way for controlled depth fishing is what you call it. All of these techniques were really developed up north where they troll for walleye, and I basically applied them here in Tennessee for striper fishing. And of course, you can have lots of rods out. I've got 2 way out rods and I'm getting ready to add 2 more. So, but this gives you a great way to get a specific depth that you know what the depth is. Okay, what I'm going to do is zero my reel. The other thing that you want to think about that you may not have on these line counter reels, you want to keep your spool full. So periodically I'll actually go through and put some backer line on so that my spool's full, because how much line you have on the spool depends on what that unit is. So once again, the whole idea is to try to be consistent. I'm going to let out 65 feet of line, or 64 feet. That's going to get me about, I believe that gets me at 18 feet. And I'll set the clicker and I'm ready to rock and roll. Well, we've caught several fish this morning. I've got the full spread set out now. You can see on both sides, starboard and port, you see the Riviera planer boards, and they're the 3 blade ones. They're attached by cords to a mast on the front that allows me to adjust how far they're out. And then you've got the rods that are basically let out. Each one is set up with a tadpole like I showed you earlier, and then they're hooked to release, slid down the line. So that's where the spread comes from. So we're covering a huge area here. I just went over a school and caught one and had another one off at the same time. So I'll come down here and make a big turn, and I think we're just going to work up and down this bank the rest of the day. That seems like there's fish in here. So I'll get back with you later. All right, well, the old spread's working. We've got one on the way out rod. Now with a little luck, we'll get this fish back behind the boat. Man, it's striper day, another striper, or some places people call them rockfish. It's technically a striped bass. Yeah, it's a nice one. I want to. The reason I'm catching stripers out here is we're fishing over the river channel. For some reason, those fish like to stay in that area. All right, that's a really nice fish. It's real healthy and fat. Let's put that in before it gets too stretched. All right, excellent, excellent. The old tadpole comes through. I like that, and the spread. That's as good as it gets. Same area, we picked one up on the downrigger. Anytime you do that, always remember what you got your downrigger set at. The ball's at 18 feet. So we can duplicate that set. I've got 75 feet of line out, then I hook it to the release. So that way we can get back to where we were. But I marked some on they're out there when this river channel makes a turn, so that's where the fish will be. This is probably going to be another striper. I follow saltwater rules. If you'll notice, I don't dip them a lot. And it's because the dip net is hard on them. It really hurts them. See, these are getting bigger. That's a nice striper. Let's get him turned back loose. That was on a Captain Jim's hair jig with a 4-inch chartreuse sassy shed. Now, if you do that, you have to trim that hair jig back to just behind the hook. Anyway, so that looks pretty good. Heck, let's put him out and see if we can catch another one. That's what I like about trolling. Well, it looks like the old way out board over here's got one on it. That's what I like about trolling. You just never know. Good fish. All right, that's a good fish. Seems like it's a striper day for some reason. That's a good fish. That's a good fish. Fish are getting a little deeper now than it's got up. The sun's beginning to get out. All right. Now that's a hybrid. That's a nice hybrid though. It's that's a really nice little hybrid. We'll get him returned. All right, we got another one on the net. There's another nice hybrid here. So the hybrids are on this bank. That's see how fat that fish is. These things are really healthy. That's a pretty nice striper. Well, we're on stripers today for some reason. Let's get him back in the lake.